तव कथामृतं तप्तजीवनं कविविरीडितं कल्मषापहं श्रवणमङ्गलं श्रीमदाततं भुवि गृह्णन्ति ये भूरिदा जनाः. So, we are meeting after a very long time. For nearly 1.5 months, we did not have our regular Sunday class on the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. Now, as you all know, we have completed the first volume and almost halfway through the second volume of the 5-volume edition of the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, which is a translation from the original Bengali written by or recorded by, should say, Mahendranath Gupta, who was, as it were, chosen by Sri Ramakrishna to record the conversations, because he had such a wonderful memory that he would note down in shorthand whatever conversations whatever Sri Ramakrishna had to say and whatever he could record on that particular day. And after going home, or after using his spare time, because he was a principal of Morton High School and he was very busy person, but still he managed to take these, keep the shortened notes which he had recorded. Once in a week, at least he would try. On weekends, he would visit Sri Ramakrishna at Dakshineshwar, and he recorded all these conversations, but they were all in shorthand. If you see the diary of Mahendranath Gupta, or M as he was popularly known, you can hardly make out anything from what he has written down. Some things he noted down in shorthand, some few phrases here and there, but he had such a wonderful memory that he could reproduce the exact conversation after meditating on it, after going home, or even in the school, whenever he got a period off, he didn't have to take a class. He would go and find a quiet corner for himself, not indulge in gossip as all the staff members, other teachers would do. And he would find a corner. Very often he went on the landing of the terrace and he had a small corner where he would sit and meditate for hours. So he literally followed the instructions of his master that solitude, voluntary solitude, is absolutely essential if one wants to make spiritual progress, because without solitude, you can't watch the vagaries of the mind. And unless you are able to watch the thoughts, watch how your mind behaves, you cannot control it. So, Nirjanvas, or going to solitude now and then, finding a peaceful place. And it was absolutely difficult for M to find any sort of atmosphere which was conducive to solitude, either in his home, which was a joint family. It's a big family. Several brothers, 2 brothers were living with him, with their whole family. There was so much of noise and quarrel that he had to find a corner for himself. He used to go on the terrace where people would not frequent. And just like that, he would find a place for himself in his school. Whenever he got some spare time, he would go and used to meditate on the conversations that he had recorded in his diary. So there were about 7 to 8 diaries. And from whatever he recorded, he wrote, he elaborated on that, meditated for several hours. And it sometimes took, as he mentions in his reminiscences, He says that sometimes I had to meditate for, it took almost 1 week to reproduce the conversation. And very often he was helped, if you see in this particular instance, we'll see here in the gospel, Sri Ramakrishna himself was aware that he is recording all the conversation. So now and then he would correct him. He would ask him questions. What did I say on the previous day or a previous occasion when I spoke on this? Do you remember what I said? And very often, M would tell him something, and Sri Ramakrishna said, "No, I didn't say this. I said this." So the recording was done, and of course, it was published much later, much after the passing away of Sri Ramakrishna in 1886. And the last volume, the fifth volume of the series of 5 volumes, was published in 1931. That is when he gave the last volume to the press. And before he died, he was very happy that the book, the last volume, had been published. Of course, he had a few notes which he had kept in his diary, and he was planning one more volume, but that was not to be. Anyway, in this second volume, which we are discussing, there's a very interesting conversation, and usually on the same day there would be several topics discussed. Sri Ramakrishna, even though he recorded all the conversations on that particular day, either in the afternoon, evening, or maybe he was present throughout the day. Whenever he got a chance, he never missed it. He just escaped from the school and came here. Sometimes he also could manage to get some time free on weekdays if he did not have classes to take. So he would somehow manage to find some time and record this. He was so keen. And he did not do this with the intention of publishing, because the idea of publishing these conversations came much later. He simply wanted to record these conversations for his own spiritual welfare and development, because he went to Sri Ramakrishna at a particular stage in his life when he was almost about to commit suicide. In fact, had he not met Sri Ramakrishna, he would have committed suicide. He was so much troubled by the situation at home, the quarrels at home, and so many issues were there in his household, in his home, that he was unable to find a solution to his worldly problems. So he comes quite accidentally. One of his friends brings him, and that practically saves his life, because he comes across a wonderful message, which in the beginning we chanted a verse, which means it is these are the words which will shower peace on a disturbed soul. Kalma Shapaham means one whose mind is totally disturbed in the so-called samsara, the worldliness which has resulted in a lot of confusion, depression, and some kind of disgust for living. To such a soul, Sri Ramakrishna's words come as a nectar in the sense which will bring eternal peace to that troubled mind. So that is the meaning of the chanting that we do, Tava Kathamritam. It's adapted from the Bhagavatam. It's from the Bhagavatam, where it referred to Sri Krishna's instructions. So all the instructions given by Krishna, according to Bhagavata, they are like a nectar which is showered upon troubled souls who seek some kind of solace and peace through spirituality. So that is how M has taken that verse from the Bhagavata, and he has published it in each volume. In the in the beginning, he has published this verse, which has been taken from the Bhagavatam. So now, as I said, the message that he heard every day used to come, every day or every weekend used to come. And whenever you find there are some weekdays also, maybe they were holidays. So that's when he could just manage to come to Dakshineshwar And whatever he recorded was for his own meditation and own peace. It was, I don't think there was an intention to publish these notes. He just wanted to relive the the wonderful atmosphere or the conversations that took place, and which came like nectar, or which showered a lot of peace on their troubled soul. So he thought, in on those days when when I don't have an opportunity to visit Dakshineshwar, I'll ruminate over these words which I've recorded. So that's why I elaborated them and tried to reenact the whole scene. That's why you see he was such a wonderful, his observation was so nice that he has recorded everything. What was the situation like? Who were the people who were listening to Sri Ramakrishna? What did Sri Ramakrishna say? And even if uh, some of the people ask some very funny questions, and there's so much of joy and laughter and other things. He has recorded everything. He has not missed out any detail. That's the beauty of this gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. And he felt that this meditation on the uh, the notes that he uh, took for himself, so that in when he goes back home, when he has to face all the different situations which were far from peaceful, he would now and then open his notebook, listen to these read these notes, and get some kind of peace and solace. So for his personal uh, purpose, I mean, it was the purpose was not to publish these books, but somehow, as he went on elaborating these notes, the other disciples, devotees of Sri Ramakrishna, told him, "These are wonderful words. We have recorded them so perfectly." In fact, Swami Vivekananda, when he first read, Swami Vivekananda was in America at that time. So Master Mashe published a small pamphlet, some of the notes which he had elaborated, and he published them as a small booklet and sent it to America, where Swami Vivekananda read them, and he felt that, my God, this recording is so beautiful, and we just feel. I mean, Swamiji says, Swami Vivekananda says, I just feel that I am in the presence of Sri Krishna. You are so accurate, so perfectly. You have recorded all the conversations that it's impossible to believe that you have taken down the notes, and I just feel as if you have hit Sri Krishna at the right point. I mean, you have done a wonderful thing, and you should publish, not only publish this, but you should continue the publication of the other notes that you have. And I am sure Swami Vivekananda says that in future it will shower a lot of peace uh, among all the people who are uh, who have troubled minds in the world. It will be like an ocean of peace that will be showered upon the people who are struggling to in this troubled world. So that was the original intention. For he recorded the notes for himself, but as soon as he published his first pamphlet, and it was in 1911, he translated. In fact, he knew that though the original was in Bengali, he felt that the English speaking public people should also get the benefit. So himself translated the first volume. That is a very abridged volume. It's still available in his own language. He translated it into English, and that was published in 1911. But then the 5 volumes of Bengali that he published uh, from 1910 or even earlier to 1904 till 1931, when he published the 5th volume, all those volumes were rearranged chronologically and published by our New York Vedanta Society, which was started in 1895, much before Swami Vivekananda started the headquarters of Ramakrishna Mission. So it was New York Vedanta Society where who took up, and it was Swami Nikhilananda who in 1942, 10 years after the last volume was published, for the first time, he translated the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna in one volume, combining all these 5 volumes, and he abridged it a little bit because there were so many repetitions, and because he felt that to suit the Western readers, many things had to be removed or maybe were not necessary. So he made a very faithful translation, no doubt, but he rearranged. Rearranged all the conversations chronologically so that people get a idea of how the ideas or the thoughts of Sri Ramakrishna unfolded. But for some strange reason, M in his original 5 volumes does not follow the chronological approach, because it's not that Sri Ramakrishna was like any other intellectual who's growing in ideas, in the sense when a author starts writing, his thought evolves over a period of time. That is true in the case of ordinary mortals. But when you come to these great prophets or the great incarnations of God, they now everything that they utter, whether you follow a chronological approach or not, their thought does not evolve that way. Even if you read the conversations without following any particular chronology, you gain a lot. So perhaps that's the reason why M, if you see the first volume which we read, there are conversations which begin from February 1882. That's the first recording he did. He hardly uh, he met the master first in 1882 and started recording immediately in February 1882. And 1886, we all know, on August 15, Sri Ramakrishna passed away. So in these 4 years, whatever conversations he had recorded, they are scattered in these 5 volumes, but they don't follow a chronology. Because perhaps, I don't know whether what is the reason he did not follow a chronology. Maybe he wanted to divide the conversation according to the topics, according to the different themes. That's why you will find these subheadings. On the same day, there are 4 or 5 themes in which he has divided the whole conversation. Sri Ramakrishna often spoke to different people. Some people came and then looking at them, or maybe uh, he gave some message suited to their mental makeup, suited to their faith. So people of different faith, as Swami Vivekananda said, I attended the Parliament of Religions, different world religions, in 1893, but much before, in 1880s. In the Sri Ramakrishna's room itself was a mini parliament of religions. Not only people belonging to different sects of Hinduism, different sects within Hinduism, but people from other faiths, like the Brahmos, who took ideas from Hinduism, the Upanishads, also took some ideas from Christianity, and also took some ideas from Islam, the liberal Islam. And they tried to combine or gather together some universal ideas. So the Brahmo movement, though it was started by Keshav Chandra Sen, who was a Hindu, they believed in a different kind of a universal approach to religion. So they also came. There were Sikhs, there were Christians, there were Muslims, and Sri Ramakrishna himself was comfortable with all these different faiths, because he believed that no matter which path or faith you belong to, if you are sincere in your own faith, whatever you believe in, if you are sincere to that, then it will lead you to truth. So that was uh, one of the things that you see here. So in this particular subheading, on this particular day which we are discussing, Sri Ramakrishna is surrounded by Brahmos, There is a sect known as Vaishnavas. Vaishnavas are those who believe in Vishnu or Krishna, Rama, and the uh, pantheon of male deities. Hinduism has so many deities whom a person can approach, though every one of these deity is one supreme reality called by different names. It's not polytheism, it's monotheism, but at the same time, or you may call it pantheism, the different incarnations are different ways, different windows to the same reality. Sri Ramakrishna used to give that example that in a house there are many windows, many doors. So, to reach the infinite space outside, you can make use of any window or door. It doesn't matter. Even you can jump out of a window, still you'll reach the infinite formless God. So, God may be formless, but the way or the path to that formless aspect of God can be through forms. So, both forms, God with form, God without form. So, whichever way a aspirant, a spiritual aspirant, as long as he's sincere in his faith, in his belief, and sticks to that till the end of his religious aspiration, his sadhana or his mode of worship, he will reach the same goal. So, here the subheading which M has given, Sri Ramakrishna instructs the Brahmos, the Vaishnavas who believe in the different aspects of Vishnu. Vishnu is considered to be in the triad of Hindu deities. God has been given three different roles, God, or you may say, one aspect, because that explains the whole of creation. The whole of the created world, somebody has to create, somebody has to maintain, and somebody has to destroy. So we see in cycles, Hinduism believes that there is no motion in a linear, in a single line. It's always cyclical. The universe has come up. We see the from the Big Bang or from the dark holes. There is a Big Bang. The universe is created. Maybe for millions of years it exists, and one day it has to be it. This universe collapses into another black hole where everything seems to have been destroyed. So now the modern physics says we cannot say universe because everything is not uniform. We can call it multiverse. The word they use is multiverse because universe or it implies that if there is creation, there's always creation. But in other parts of the whole universe or multiverse, we will find somewhere there is this phenomena of black holes which is sucking everything including matter, energy, everything is sucked to a point which is termed as a dark hole or a black hole. So they saw that in this vast multiverse, several universes are coming into existence, living for a period of time, though on the scale of time, our scale compared to our scale, the scale of the existence of the universe since their birth and then to their destruction into the black holes, it can traverse, and it can the time scale is more than millions of years for these multiverses to be formed, to maintain itself, and then destroy get destroyed. So also Hinduism believes in a triad where Vishnu is where Brahma, that is the creator God, and there is a God who maintains the universe. Srishti, Sthiti. Sthiti means to maintain. Srishti means to create. So there's not just one creator. There is somebody who maintains this universe for a period of time. He is known as Vishnu. The name given is Vishnu. So all those who follow Vishnu, they are Vaishnavas. That is their faith. Then there is another aspect, Shiva, who destroys the gross. Not that they can, the whole universe, according to Indian Sankhya philosophy and all the Vedanta philosophy, there is no eternal destruction. In one cycle, there may be destruction, but there is creation in some other cycle. So this has been confirmed by the modern discoveries of uh, the different astronomical things, discoveries that they have made. We find these multiverses uh, at different stages of its existence. Either they are about to be destroyed and sucked into a black hole, and in some other places there's a big bang and the whole creation starts. So it's a very complex phenomena. So to understand it, to make it more simple, the creator God, the maintainer, the one who maintains the universe uh, maintains the creation and finally destroys it so that a new creation can start. That's how the triad of deities or triad of gods uh, is described in Hinduism. Now, based on this, people have divided themselves, or you may say classified themselves as Vaishnavas. And there is another aspect, another tradition, or another sect within Hinduism who are known as Shaktas. Shaktas have an argument. They say, why should God be male? Why can't he be a female? Why do you ascribe, why do you always say God the Father or He, God? Why do you address Him as He? Why can't God be she? So the Divine Mother, the concept of Prakriti was extended. For example, Sankhya says there is a Purusha, the consciousness, and there is a changing principle, the creative principle in the universe, which is known as Prakriti. So if Prakriti's job is to create things, so that Prakriti has been given for convenience a feminine gender, because the creation of the universes, creation of the individual uh, is the monopoly of women, or it's the monopoly of the feminine in nature. So they believed that anything that is created apart from the Purusha, which is the conscious principle behind the universe, the unchanging principle, which is also known as the Brahman of Vedanta, has another aspect which is either known as Prakriti, or according to this sect, it is known as Shakti. So Shiva and Shakti, Purusha and Prakriti, these are the two principles on which this universe exists. So whenever you say Prakriti, whenever you see nature around you, whenever you see things changing, evolving, and then getting destroyed, it is part of Prakriti. So that sect who believes in the Divine Mother, God as the mother, they call themselves, or they have classified themselves as Shaktas. So Sri Ramakrishna is now surrounded by people, some of whom are Brahmos, who want a universal religion, who do not believe in any particular religion. They have made a strange mixture of the different truths of different religions and try to form a new religion. Whereas Vaishnavas are the traditional followers of Vishnu, and Shaktas are the traditional followers of the feminine God, the Divine Mother, or the Divine Feminine, as she is addressed. They would like to call upon God as the Mother. So in Hinduism, all these aspects, all these different approaches to worship God as Father, to worship God as Mother, to worship God as formless God, everything is part and parcel of the whole edifice of Hinduism. So here, Sri Ramakrishna, who himself practiced these different faiths, different paths, not that he supported one path to the exclusion of other paths. He never did that. He said it depends on the sincerity of the person. Even if you are a Brahmo, or you are a Christian, or a Muslim, or a Vaishnava, or a Shakta, are you sincere, or do you believe the core principles of your own religion? If you do, and if you are sincere, and if your motive is unselfish, you will reach the goal. So he's trying to reconcile, because the people who were sitting in his room practically were at loggerheads because of the incomplete or the incorrect understanding of their own faiths. They were all sitting in the same room. The only reason why they are here was because of Sri Ramakrishna, because he was the great harmonizer. So forgot all their quarrels, they forgot all their differences when they were in Dakshineshwar. That's very strange. You will find uh, two enemies, or rather, you may say two rival sects. Very often they would not speak to each other, but they came and sat in Dakshineshwar in front of Sri Ramakrishna. And Sri Ramakrishna also made fun. One was uh, the founder of Brahmo Samaj, who was Keshav Chandra Sen. And then in his lifetime itself, one sect broke away, and Shivnath Shastri started another sect. So you find they differed, and they quarreled with each other when they were on their own outside. But you will often find here that Keshav has come, and at the same time, Shivnath Shastri also is sitting near him. Temporarily, they have forgotten all the quarrels, because here there is no scope for quarrel. Each one, whatever his faith or path, has a right to exist, a right to coexist, rather, and without disturbing the faith of others. So now Sri Krishna is making some fundamental statements here, where he says the Brahmos, he's speaking to the Brahmos. Perhaps there were quite a few Brahmos sitting in that gathering. He said the Brahmos insist that God whom they worship is formless. He cannot have a form. He is formless. It would be blasphemy to say that God has a form. He says, let them say so. He does not disagree with that. He says, let them say so. It is enough to call on him sincerely, whether you believe in formless or with form. If you are sincere, see, there is a condition here. He says, if you are sincere, if the Brahmos are sincere, he means the Supreme Lord. Normally in Sanskrit, you don't use he or she, because it can be she also. So normally Brahman is referred to as it. It's a reality which is genderless. There's no question of any gender in that. But anyway, here for convenience, we say he. He being an antaryami. Antaryami means, there are two words in Sanskrit. Antar means inner. Yami means controller. One who controls us, controls the whole creation from inside. It's not that God is sitting somewhere outside in the clouds and he controls like a king ruling a kingdom. That idea was never entertained in Hinduism. He may be male, he may be female, he may be creator, he may be the destroyer. Whatever it is, he does everything by being an antaryami, the inner controller. That is why, as Jesus said, the kingdom of God is within you. When he said that, that means God is the antaryami, according to Hinduism or Vedanta, and the inner controller has to control you from within. It's not some external control that is referred to. The kingdom of heaven that Jesus refers to is within us. That means it's the Lord who, being the inner controller, though he doesn't use those words, he's, whether he's the Father in heaven, whether he's the Mother, as some other religions believe, whichever aspect of God you believe in, the common factor is that he controls us, controls his followers from within. He will surely, says, whether you believe in form or formless, he will surely make you know, make you understand what his real nature is. It has to be revealed through a process known as meditation. When you meditate in the heart, when you search for the Lord within, you actually try to understand him with your limited intellect. And when you are not successful, you just pray, you meditate, and try to search for that kingdom of God, which you are, the nature of which you are not aware of. We do not know what the kingdom of God means. What did Jesus mean when he said the kingdom of God? What do the Brahmos mean when they say God is formless? What do they mean when he says God is Vishnu, God is the divine mother? For us, they are all just words. How do we experience that God? So that is why he says, if you consider him, it's enough if you consider him to be the inner controller, whether he's male, whether he's female, whether he's formless, whether he's with form. What his true nature is will be revealed to you in your own intellect, in your own heart. One thing which all the sects within Hinduism or outside of Hinduism, they believe that it is the self within which is able to experience these truths, the true nature of God, complete or incomplete. Some people may have a complete experience of the true nature of God, some may have a partial experience, but everything happens within. It's not that we see something outside of ourselves, we have to see within. Peace is also from within. If the benefit of practicing spirituality is felt within, it's an entirely subjective experience. Nothing happens objectively. Objectively, the whole world remains as it was thousands of years ago. The good and evil, they remain the same. They change forms. In the Mahabharata, there was a war between good and evil. The wars are continuing even today. Nobody can talk of an utopia when all these good people will just overpower the bad. It has never happened and it will never happen. The nature of the world is such that there will be a mixture of good and evil. So, where do we search? Then, what's the purpose of our searching for that God who is all benevolent, all compassionate, all full of grace? The only place where we can search for that God and really see Him is to search for that kingdom of God within. Or whatever we do, it is the search within, it is the subjective experience of the sadhaka that ultimately matters. What we believe subjectively will give us the corresponding result. Whether we believe in the formless God or God with form, it doesn't really matter. What really matters is that we have to believe or we have to accept that he's the Antaryami, he's controlling us as he's controlling others, as he's controlling inanimate and animate objects. And to understand that, you have to go dive deep within and meditate deep within when you really come to know of his real nature. So then Sri Ramakrishna says something very significant, because he knows the people who are sitting here, the moment they go out, they will be after each other. Each one believes that his path alone is correct. He said, how can you, they, even in fact, the Brahmos used to make fun of the people who believed in forms. He said, you are just idolaters. You are worshipping an image. So ours is the true worship. We have understood God properly. We have understood the path. So you follow us. So then there is quarrel. Then you convert people from other faiths, explaining to them. So this quarrel happened only when they left the room. Here, Sri Ramakrishna was a prophet of harmony. So he says, though you may, each one of you accept him in different forms. Some of you believe in formless. Okay, good luck to you. If you are sincere, you will realize him as formless. But yet it is not good to say that only what you know of him, of God, is right and all others are wrong. So this is a fundamental principle he is trying to explain, which will result in harmony. And that since we take him as formless, that means the Brahmos take him as formless, he is formless, and that is why he cannot have any form. That is a wrong notion. It should never be entertained. Or that he has form, people who believe that he has a form, for eternal, till eternity he has a form, and I would like to see him in the form of a Krishna or a Christ or any other God whom I believe, and that is the form I will hold on to till the end of my life. It's fine, good luck to you. He says, if he has a form, it's good for you, but you don't say that he's not formless and the Brahmos are wrong. So, can a man reach the end of God? Here I remember what Swami Vivekananda said in Chicago when he said, God's book is not closed. It's not a closed book. We can't say that all the pages of human effort to describe God, All the pages they have not complete. The book is still open. There's infinite number of pages yet to be written. So don't conclude. Don't be egoistic to say that I have known everything that is to be known of the concept of God, and my path or the faith that I have is the end, the last word. He says, can man ever reach the end of God? It is like science. When you explore truth, science never says we have come to the truth. We have reached a certain stage, and there we leave the space open for future scientists to propose a better theory and prove it, so that science can progress. There's no end for science, no end. Even uh, uh, Isaac Newton, when he went on the beach, he said, I have a few grains of sand, and I think I have the whole knowledge of the world, but the whole shore, the whole coast has to be explored. What I have done is nothing compared to the infinite knowledge that is around me. So, also, those who believe in different aspects of reality, Sri Ramakrishna says, can man hope with his limited mind, with his limited understanding, can he reach the end of God? In the same way, he says, just as the Brahmos say that God is formless and anything to do with form, it's superstition. We just reject it. He said, you can't say that. Nor can you say that God is with form. And if you don't believe for the idea of formless, as some of the devotional sects or maybe some of the fanatic sects of Hinduism, they criticized Buddhism, they criticized Advaita, Shankaracharya, that he is a hidden Buddhist because he doesn't believe in God. He doesn't believe in the existence of a personal God. So there are so many theories. There have been quarrels, there have been sects who think that the way they think is the final word in religion and all others are wrong. That's why he says, Sri Ramakrishna continues, he says, in the same way, the Vaishnavas and the Shaktas are opposed to each other. There were so many quarrels in those days. It was like a free fight. And that is why people started losing faith. Even today, the number of atheists are growing. The reason is because of these quarrels. Said, how can a person who claims that he is following a merciful, benevolent God who is showering peace on the earth can quarrel in his name? So logical people who are rational, they don't accept this idea that following a peaceful God, whichever God you believe in, a God who showers peace upon the earth, a God who is compassionate, who is kind, with all these wonderful qualities, how can the followers be otherwise? So that is why this religious conflicts, these crusades, which happened for centuries, crusades have happened. Young children have been killed. People would rather believe that why do we have to believe in a God, especially a God with form, if we are going to quarrel with each other, saying my form, the form that I believe in is far superior than the form that you believe. So let us have a fight and let us decide whose God is powerful. I mean, that is how uh, religion has always been practiced, unfortunately. So Sri Ramakrishna says, he gives an example. The Vaishnava says, he is our Keshav. Keshav means Sri Krishna. Keshava, not the Keshav Chandra Sen. Keshava means he is one of the names of Krishna. So the Vaishnavas will say Keshav is the ultimate. Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. There are fanatics within followers of Vishnu who say, how can he be anything other than Krishna? Krishna is the Lord Supreme, because in the Bhagavad Gita he says, and I do not believe in any other reality. He alone is God, all others are lesser gods. So the Shaktas also say he is our Bhagavati. And in fact, they say without the grace of the Divine Mother, even Krishna is helpless. So they keep on quarreling. He is the only giver of liberation. So they will claim that my Divine Mother is more powerful. Where Sri Ramakrishna is pointing out this fallacy. This is how these people quarrel. Then he says, I took Vaishnava Charan. Vaishnava Charan was a very staunch Vaishnava, a good person, a very sincere devotee of God. He says, I took him to Mathur Babu. Mathur Babu was the son-in-law of the Rani Rasmani who built the Dakshineshwar temple. Vaishnava Charan is a man of great discrimination and great learning. He was a great scholar, no doubt, well versed in his own scripture. So, but he was a rigid Vaishnava. On the other hand, Mathur Babu was a devotee of Bhagavati. That's why his mother-in-law built this Kali temple, the temple dedicated to Bhagavati. They were having a nice conversation because they were good friends. They were having a nice conversation when Vaishnava Charan suddenly said that fanaticism came out. And he said, only Keshav, that is Krishna, grants liberation. He said only he can give. I mean, that means Bhagavati cannot give. So, no sooner did Mathur Babu hear this word than his face was flushed with anger. He said, my foot. All laugh. Was he, Mathur, not a Shakta, worshipper of Shakti? It was natural for him to react that way. Said if Vaishnavacharan claimed that only Krishna can give liberation, naturally one who is a follower of Shakti, the follower of God as the Divine Mother, he will say, my Divine Mother alone will give. So the quarrel will begin. So, in the meantime, I tried to distract Vaishnavacharan. Now, Sri Ramakrishna was playing the role of a somebody who would mediate and see that it did not lead to a quarrel, because both of them were sincere people, sincere to the core in what they believed. But there's no reason why they should be quarreling with each other. That's why Swami Sri Ramakrishna tried to tell them that you don't have to quarrel here. Then Sri Ramakrishna continues giving this example. He says, I see that all those who harp on religion are actually quarreling among themselves. Those who claim to be devoted in a very fanatic way, the Hindus, the Mohammedans, the Brahmos, the Shaktas, the Vaishnavas and the Shaivites. Shaivites are those who believe in the divinity of Shiva. They are all quarreling with each other. They haven't gained the intelligence to understand that he who is called Krishna is Shiva and also the primeval power. He is the same being who is known as Christ or Allah. There is but one Rama and he is known by 1,000 names. This is a Hindi proverb by Tulsidas, who said, Ek Ram Hajar Naam. So Sri Ramakrishna perhaps quoted that. One name, but Rama is one, but he has 1,000 names. You can address him. That is why we have this, people misunderstand saying that Hinduism has so many names of God. It is just to imply that no matter which God you believe in, you cannot restrict him. To show the infinitude of the divinity or God, we have so many names and there's no end. You can even bring in more gods. There's no problem. He may have 1,000 names. So we have, if you see Vishnu Sahasranama, Lalita Sahasranama, there every god has 1,000 names. So it's not that they are different aspects, that they are different aspects or they're different deities represent. The idea is that you have to see unity in this diversity, and more diverse the approach, because you see this whole world is diverse. If you remove diversity, this world would not be as beautiful as it is. So those who believe in uniformity, believe in one God, believe in one faith, and are fanatical about it, they will create a very miserable world, because diversity is the very flavor of nature. Nature is nature and it can be enjoyed only because it is diverse. So this Vedantins or the Hindus understood that if you try to suppress this diversity, human being will suffocate. He will become a fanatic. He will become a demon and he will quarrel with others because he believes in enforcing unity, that I believe in this particular God and he is the only God that should be worshipped. All others have to be destroyed. then world cannot have this diversity. It's like a scientist saying that only physics deserves to be studied. All other sciences are useless sciences. Let us just stop learning. It's as I mean, blasphemous for a religious person to say, according to Hinduism, to say that only this particular aspect of God has the right to be worshipped. All other aspects are bad. It's like science will never allow it. Science will never say. Any new science also is accepted. That's why people are fascinated by the scientific approach to truth. So this is what Sri Ramakrishna did. He said this, apply the same principle, the scientific approach to religion, then you will find there will be no quarrels. Science does not quarrel. Science does not say that because I am a student of chemistry, I will hate everyone who is a student of geography or student of chemistry or any other mathematics or any other branch. We coexist very peacefully because each one is dependent on the other. There's no question of superiority. Each one needs the other. Each science has to complement the other so that the truth is known. We have to take. So, also, he says there is one substance. Or, hmm? Yes, 6 minutes of it. Yeah. So, there is one substance. It is called by different names. Everybody is asking for that same one substance. It is like the unified field theory in science. When they found that the different sound energy, light energy, electromagnetic energy, the so many energies, gravitational energy. So the search among the scientists was to find a unified field or unified energy theory where they can explain everything as one substance or one form of energy, which expresses itself in different ways. That is the quest in science. Similarly, Sri Ramakrishna, being a scientist in the field of religion, he says there is only one substance. It is called by different names. Everybody is asking for the same one substance. He's trying to search for that unity. But because in the midst of diversity, he will approach through different paths. As Swami Vivekananda famously said in one of his London lectures, he said, science also is in search of unity. There may be diversified approaches to that unity. One may go through physics, one may go through chemistry, but they are searching for some unified principle which alone will uh, satisfy the scientists. They are just trying to reduce everything to one particular principle. So everybody is searching for one substance, yet there is a difference of place, person, and name. And then he gives the famous example, and then I'll conclude. A pond has number of ghats. The Hindus draw water from one ghat. Ghat means different steps leading to that pond. So I may go from one corner and take water, fill the brass pots, they call it jal. The Mohammedan takes water from the other ghat and fill their skin bags and then call it pani. The name changes, but it is the same substance that they are filling. And the Christians take water from the third ghat and call it water. They may call it by different names, but the substance remains the same. So also, everybody is going towards God. That is what Sri Ramakrishna's conclusion is. And we will now conclude. If there is a question, you can just ask. Anybody has any question, you can ask. We have just 2 minutes. Otherwise, we'll disperse for Aarti. You have? 3 minutes, okay. I wanted to read out something. Today is the birthday of Swami Brahmananda, who was the first president of the Ramakrishna order. Though Swami Vivekananda started the Ramakrishna movement and the order, but he made Brahmananda, he gave up the presidentship even before they established Belur Math and made him the first president. So it is his birthday. So there are some nice quotes which I wanted to read, but for shortage of time. It is on japa, repetition of the holy name, and meditation. It's a wonderful book, one of the fundamental books on, though it is a small book, it has all the essential teachings necessary for us to practice meditation and through the repetition of the holy name. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Tat Sat Sri